So I find that there are lots of success stories with mediations where couples are really facing difficult decisions but are willing to give it a go and have the difficult discussions where they can talk openly with each other with the help of a mediator in those really tricky circumstances. A lot of success stories are where there's also lawyer-assisted mediation, so lawyers are also involved in the mediation to help the couple reach an agreement that they find acceptable and comfortable with.
It was a mediation between a couple where we were dealing with both financial arrangements and arrangements for two, at that point, really quite young children. It wasn't necessarily easy. The issues involved were not straightforward. It wasn't easy from an emotional perspective either. Both the husband and the wife were in some pain when they first came to see me. But we got through that process and I was able to help them to come to some decisions in relation to the arrangements for their children and a financial settlement without having to go back to the court. But for me personally, one of the real takeaways that I had from that was when one of the couple's solicitors spoke to me sometime after the mediations had concluded and said that their client had said that for the first time she felt heard and listened to, not just by me but by her now former spouse, and that really gave me a sense of achievement in terms of allowing people the space and the forum to feel as though they're actually being heard and that their voice counts and that the decisions that are taken are both parties' decisions, not just one of them.
I recently worked with a couple who were separating but also ran a business together, and they wanted to continue to run their business after they'd separated. Mediation was a great process for them to be able to talk about the challenges they may face, have honest and open conversations about boundaries and any rules they would need to put in place to make sure this arrangement worked, but also deal with things as quickly as possible so they could get back to running the business and focusing on that rather than dealing with their separation and divorce.
The example I give is of a couple who were having to try and agree where their child would live when one of them had to relocate within the UK, and on the face of it seemed a really intractable problem. And in fact, really it was to do with communication issues between the parents, and within 2 meetings they'd been able to resolve their differences in a way that meant that actually both of them would still stay in the same house when one came to visit the child. So when you think it might be really difficult to resolve, sometimes actually it's really quite straightforward if you can get communication back on track.